going to the last presentation, and it's going to round out the customer interaction layer I was talking about this morning, where I said you need all those nice customer communication tooling to abstract yourself from your complex legacy. You need data quality, data integration tooling in that customer interaction layer. But then you also need something to manage the preferences of your customer, to orchestrate that experience, and in fact, to bind all those complex use cases together and make it an experience that will help everybody and enables you to manage the full customer lifecycle. So that's the reason why from our partner Crawford Technologies, we're going to invite another, somebody originally from Germany, only he still lives there, Mr. Achim Schuch.
Hey, Patrick, good to see you.
Yeah, always good to see you as well. And I see you've installed yourself in front of some nice promotional material. So,
yeah.
Well, I think your story is really important to close off this event and to show people where we are advancing and how they can manage end-to-end this customer interaction. So I would hesitate no longer, and give the stage all to you.
Thank you, Patrick. And of course, thank you very much for this perfect event that's going on here. It's I've been talking to some of my colleagues, and some signed in later on today. Awesome event and awesome, good organized. Thank you very much. And also thank you for this introduction, because, well, I couldn't say it better. It's kind of a perfect introduction to what we do and what I want to talk about this afternoon. The good thing is, I am, as you said, I'm the last speech between you, and, well, maybe it's a little bit early for after work beer, but I know you guys, you will have one. But I will keep my presentation very short and trying to invite you to come to our booths. The reason for that is we've got a live demo at our booth, and what I want to talk about is a product named Conductor. And this product is really just awesome to look at. If you see the product, it's it's great. We were joking during the lunch break that a chatbot would be a perfect tool to talk about Conductor, because if you say something like, could it integrate with, the chatbot could just answer with, yes, it can. So, but of course, I want to talk a little bit about the orchestration and dashboarding of all of these beautiful tools that you've seen through the day. And before I go deeper into that, I hope all of you know Crawford Technologies. We are a Canadian company with huge operations in the US, and of course with operations here in the EMEA, partnering with the Dialog Group since a couple of years. One of our very pleased partners that we've got all over the world. So my talk track today is a little bit about the 360-degree view on a customer in a complex environment using an omni-channel environment. So is a situation, or is a simplified situation of every customer who's out there in the world, who runs a CCM system, who runs a system that controls output, CCM output, SMS output, chatbots. However we communicate with our customers, it always starts with some leading systems that do some estimate, that do some data warehouse, and that do some billing, whatever it does. We get raw data, we process this data. Well, we use document composition as we've got from Precisely, for example, as well as we have the need to archive what we produce in an archive system. We may use some post-composition. This is our classic, this is where we come from, post-composition. So to make or to manipulate or to make print streams beautiful, more beautiful, transform into whatever it's needed. And after that, we do multi-channel distribution to the several gateways, trying to fulfill the needs of every customer we find out there in the world. And we do all of this, or our hope with all of this is to have a view on the customer. We always love to see, well, what is the customer receiving? What is his current situation? How can we provide him with better information if he calls? Why he's calling about? Exactly the same what Gerard just talking about is, well, if he got a big bill, it's good to know in advance why he's talking, why he's calling. So we want to have this 360-degree view over a customer and want to know him as good as we can. Well, the bad side or the downside is that we've got all these little tools, and some of them are much bigger than others, but we've got all of these integration points like Precisely Engage One, like our products, like ECM products like Naxeo, IBM, FileNet. We've got incoming data in various formats. We've got solutions like MailChimp that allows us to send out emails to the customer. We've got printers from Canon, Xerox, HP, whoever. I hope everybody, I hope we find, or we can insert a lot of more little icons here. But what all of these do is they are a little bit blocking the view on the customer that we're trying to gain. So our idea and our intention when creating ProConductor was, oh, please go to the next slide, because there are all these, there is the view on the customer, and there are all these little icons that block this view. And our idea was to, well, put something together that allows us to orchestrate all these little icons that are on the slide, to orchestrate everything that is going on there. So if you click on the next slide, what we put in is a layer that allows us to connect to all the systems with an open API that allows us to have all these dashboard and workflow systems that are needed, like a preference manager, like the integration with data handlers, like, well, every single process step in the system or in a complex CCM environment can be handled by ProConductor. And doing this, we can go to the next slide and we see all these little icons are not blocking our view on the customer anymore. We line them, and this is why I'm German, we lined them up in the right order. we got them under control. We got them under our environment and can orchestrate them, can dashboard them, can play with them, and can use them to fulfill the needs that we've got to get this right view on the customer. Next slide, please. So the customer runs through a big journey with us usually. So started from the first email that I sent out up to the last SMS that they're going to send him. We help the organization that use our product to have a view on every single step. Where is the customer? Can I predict he's buying something? Do I know what his complaints are? Do I know what was the latest information that has been sent out to him? All of these stations through the customer journey are all on a sudden under control. And not only that they're under control by a workflow system, much more important, I see them in the dashboard. So I make this available for my employees, for my colleagues to know, what does the customer know? We got this a couple times today. The worst thing is if the customer calls and I don't know what he knows. We're trying to eliminate this little problem out of the world. using a software that gives you, on one hand, a dashboard. If you go to the next slide, the features of the dashboard are tremendous. It's really awesome. And as said, I would love to get you to invite you to our booth and have my friend Gareth giving you a demo of the software, because you really see, if you're a print service provider, you can see a single view on a single document, as well as a view on the whole chunk of documents, on a whole job. You see where every document is in the whole composition process, starting from, well, where it comes from, raw data, up to where it ends up with the customer as an email, as a chat, as a mail, as a letter. So you see wherever the document is. And this whole view is not only browser-based, it's also very permission-based. So it's not that everybody sees everything. You can give departments different views on different processes. So the users are just informed about everything that's going on. And they're in control, because we're able to set up workflows in a way that you've got permissions, that you prove before something gets printed, that you double read something on a job level, on a smaller level, on a document level, and even on a single customer level. So whenever you come to the situation that you want to stop the single letter that goes out to this one customer, ProConductor is the tool that can help you on that. This all in an overview or in dashboard that allows you really to handle this complex process in the way you like to handle it, with lists, with graphs, and so on. As said, please go to the booth, please to our booth, please take a look at it. Underlying, and if you go to the next slide, underlying there is the whole workflow component. So you can design workflows also with a browser-based graphic user interface. You can reuse activity, so you don't have to integrate over and over with the same product or with the same machine, with the same printer, with the same email server. The time you do it once, you can use this procedure over and over in every workflow that you've got. You can get notified about events that are going on. The whole thing is very, very scalable, multi-threaded, so it works on an enterprise level, and it works seamlessly for every customer, for every workflow, for every product, and for every business object that you got. Please click twice, because there's one little thing jumping in. We don't need this. So this all comes from the idea that enterprise is business. So when we got a complex CCM system, we end up with these tasks like consolidation, like that we have to care for the revenue, that we have to care for the integration. And of course, if you want to integrate and still have revenue, we have to have automation. We have to be very productive, deliver world-class quality nowadays, and know our inventory, know everything about what's going on out there in our organization. So I won't read the next slide line by line, but it shows a little bit about the amount of functions that are available in ProConductor. And it's all these functions that are always needed as soon as you do customer communication, as soon as you send out information to the customer, especially in a multi-channel world, especially if you use things like SMS, like email, like chatbots, like videos, like letters, faxes, whatever it is, you will find solutions to help you with that and to get the control of that in one single platform, in one single view. And Of course, we've got a lot of views on the different data that we get. But here we are talking about a 360-degree view on the customer, and I want to show you in the next slide how this could look like. So in our system, you can have on a single customer in a timeline every communication that we had with the customer. No matter if this is a call, if this is an email, if this is a letter, if this is a fax, a chat, whatever it is, we see when did the customer receive this information. We can click on it, we can see it. We see what are the preferences of the customers. When does he react? When does he not react? Maybe where in the point of our journey the customer is nowadays. We've got statistics for the customer. And at the end of the day, we see all of the data of the customer. Next slide, please. All of the data of the customer consolidated in a single view, and all of the communication we've got with the customer. So if you go to the next slide, we see we are integrated with social media data. We integrated with MLS, with multi-list system data, behavioral data. So we can connect to the CRM system, and of course, all the transactions. So we see the view on the customer, and we've got this 360-degree view that I was talking about. And I guess I don't see the chat now, and I've asked Gareth to answer all the questions in the chat, and I believe there are a lot of questions. Can we integrate with? Can we do this? And as I say, the answer is yes, we can. Well, of course, I can't do a presentation without talking about a little bit about COVID, a little about the influence that it's got. And we are now, most of us, I'm now here in my home office, and most of us in the Netherlands, as well as in Germany, as all over Europe and the world are nowadays. So I decided to put in a little discretion, and our product management decided to help me perfectly with this by releasing a new product just a week ago, which is called the Smart Mail Hub. Smart Mail Hub is a new technology that allows users to integrate their home office with the general communication platform in the company. So instead of printing a Word document locally, put it in a printer, well, in worst case, go to my local post office. I've done that before, and send out documents to somebody. I got now Smart Mail Hub. This allows me to integrate my home office, integrate any machine in the world with the CCM infrastructure in the company. Easy to use, easy to install, and I can connect to it from all applications, no matter if this is Microsoft Word, Excel, CRM systems, ERP systems, whatever it is. I'm not in the need to print locally anymore. I can use Smart Mail Hub to integrate with my enterprise CCM. Another digression that I would love to do is on the next slide. And of course, if I talk about ProConductor, which is a workflow tool, I always have to talk about, have you thought about your accessibility workflow? Many companies, especially in the area of government, but also and more banking, insurance, have the need to have accessibility as a given in their communication. So when I send out an information, I probably don't do this nowadays as a letter anymore, where a visually impaired person can't read it. I may rather send an audio file, maybe even integrate this audio file into a video, maybe send a PDF UA. With our Accessibility Now platform, we offer a wide range of tools that allows you to make your communication accessible. Make your documents, make what you printed in the past, make this accessible, make it accessible to Braille devices, make it accessible to PDF UA, make it accessible to audio reading. And for us, a change in our little world is that we are not only doing this for transactional documents, for documents that are created by CCM systems, we are also doing this for static published documents, so documents that are created once, that live on a website now, that just have to be accessible. We can handle these as well as, and there is another new product that's just released by our product team, which is called Wico, which is a Word plugin, a Microsoft Word plugin that enables Microsoft Word users to produce accessible documents just using a couple of wizards, using a plugin without going to the hazard of a long and painful Word accessibility training. So as promised, I think I'm almost at the end of my presentation and give you back a couple minutes, at least 10. And I hope you use these minutes wisely to come down to a booth, to have a live demo, to chat with us. We are there for you. Well, I don't know, Patrick, if you're going to close this at 3:30 straight, or if we have a couple more minutes, if this gets interesting. But thank you again, Patrick, Philip, for your beautiful event here, for the opportunity to speak, and back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Achim. Always a pleasure hearing you to speak. I think I wasn't saying too much when I said it's very important if you want to offer those end-to-end customer interactions, that you need orchestration, you need dashboarding, enable to view the behavior of your customer, or when you're working in a call center, to see exactly what your customer has received from you. Because I once heard from a healthcare insurer that 80% of the call center volume was being generated by the communications they sent out themselves, right? So they push all this difficult communications, different policies to their customers, and then they start calling the call center. So there's lots of ways with little text balloons to prevent that, or chatbots or video to make it more easy. But if you then come into the call center and your call center agent has all that information, like you showed us, that's going to make a really, really big difference. And the part we didn't discuss earlier as well was accessibility. So I believe that's mandatory right now in Europe, right?
At least when you're government.
Yeah, so for government organizations, it's more and more mandatory. And we see banks and insurance companies more and more starting to utilize it too, for visually impaired people, for example, to be able to tag documents, and so they can be speech synthesized, or even with Braille and all kinds of technologies, so that visually impaired people can still take part in society, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. We see a huge trend in especially insurance, banking, but also in every other area like telcos, utilities, to deliver documents accessible. You see me from time to time putting on my glasses. Well, we're all getting older, and we all getting a little bit of a bad view on.
Oh, here we go. We lost you.
And just make bigger, read better. Well, thank God I don't need somebody to read them for me, but yeah, I like it if I can read it decently.
Well, yeah, I can imagine. It's the same for me. I'm not getting older, but I do need the glasses. So, as you have mentioned a beer, I think everybody's getting thirsty. But before we close off, thank you, Achim. See you next time. Also looking forward to meeting you in person. I think what we've seen today is talking about the future of customer interaction, that we started off by saying, maybe you should think about it, putting a layer in between your complex systems and your customers. Start with your customer in mind. Enable your business to quickly iterate on improving communications. Make it personal, make it interactive. Be sure that you're relevant to them. Utilize new technologies like chat, video, and whatnot to really make the experience more compelling and more useful. Because everybody has said, especially in this COVID age, customer experience is becoming increasingly more important in retaining your customers and keeping your business up. So having said that, I would like to thank everybody, but still invite you to stay on board because the booth will be open for the next 45 minutes. You can still network, you can still ask questions, we'll be manning the chat. So thank you for visiting us virtually. Hopefully next year it's going to be live or hybrid. Thanks to all our partners for making this possible. Thanks for all the audiovisual guys from MAB. Thanks to Global Executive Events, Roelien, Philippe, and the whole Dialog Group team. And see you next time. Stick around. Bye-bye.